Welcome to Fundamentals of Yoga. It's my highest hope that you go through this video first. Let's begin. Place your mat in the same position as mine. We will flow in sync. Sometimes we will face each other and sometimes we will face away. I will let you know what to do. Let's start with our toes and heels together. We'll do a couple of arm circles just to warm the shoulders up, then interlace the fingers at your lower back and roll your shoulders back and squeeze, just getting those shoulders nice and open, bringing the hands into prayer. Your toes and heels are together. They're not touching, but they're very close, and your big toes are slightly closer together than your heels are. You're breathing in and out your nose here. If you would like to try the Ujjayi breath, which I do recommend, you can practice exhaling with your mouth open and making the sound like you're fogging a mirror. So if you want to practice that a little bit, you really do want to make an audible sound when you're fogging the mirror. And then you practice this with your mouth closed. How would you exhale with your mouth closed? Making the sound like you're fogging a mirror. This is Ujjayi breathing. It internalizes the energetic presence of your meditative experience. Another very important thing to focus on is your drishti. It's your visual focal point, and it's somewhere out there on your horizon. So if you visualize your horizon, it doesn't matter if you're looking up to the sky or down to the ground. Your horizon is always out in front of you. So you could be looking up. You could be looking down. You could be looking all around. Whatever position you're in, your drishti is right out there in front of you. You're allowing your vision to become very focused on that drishti, something that's not moving very much out on your horizon. It could also be stationary. You want to allow your vision to become slightly unfocused. Breathing here. You also want to catch the flow of the breathing instructions at your own pace, rather than stopping your own breathing rhythm to catch my words. Let's inhale our arms all the way up to the sky, press the palms together, and exhale your hands down into prayer. Again, let's inhale our arms all the way up to the top, press the palms together, and exhale your hands down into prayer. One more. Inhale your arms all the way up to the top, press the palms together, and exhale your hands down into prayer. Moving to your breath is a very high way of going into your deep meditation. Always listen to yourself and your body first before your instructor. You know what is best for your body by the way it feels. Trust your inner feelings and voice. Let's inhale the arms all the way up. Press the palms up to the sky. And exhale, come down in your forward fold. Let's talk about forward folding. Now, if you're not touching the ground with your hands, you want to protect your lower back. Make sure you have a little bend in your knees. You may want to have blocks with you. In fact, I recommend always having blocks and a strap with you at all times so that you have the support that you need. You want to be able to be comfortable with the upper body hanging in a forward fold. So make sure you don't hyperlock your knees straight. And use the blocks as support as you need to. So this is an example of a forward fold and then articulating into a half lift. My spine is neutral and I'm holding an apple between my chest in a half lift. So I go from a forward fold into a half lift by articulating my spine. Now I'm using my blocks here to give you an example of what it would look like to articulate into a neutral spine, holding the apple between the chin and the chest. So you might use blocks in the beginning to get this posture until you feel really stable here. And choose the length of the block that you're using based on your flexibility. How would you articulate into that half lift? You're leading from the chest. It takes abdominal engagement to hold in this posture. And you have a tiny bend in your knees, not hyperlocked straight. So a micro bend, not hyperlocked straight. You feel like you're squeezing your knees. That's the feeling. Control in your knees so that you don't hyperlock your limbs. Practice this. Get strong in it. And let's come back down into our forward fold. We'll lower down to our knees. We're going to be working on stacking. So we're going to come into tabletop. Tabletop, your hands, your palms are right under your shoulders. Your fingers are open and splayed. Your middle finger drives forward. Your knees are right under your hips, and your knees are hip distance apart. That's 2 of your own fists. You stay there. I'm just going to change positions to show you some technique. See how my fingers are open and splayed with the middle fingers driving forward. And the eyes of my elbows are externally rotated. So internal and external, and internal and external. You want your shoulders to be externally rotated here in all of the upper body strength positions, including downward dog, plank, chaturanga, and up dog. I'm just going to change back into my original position here with tabletop. Let's inhale, curl our toes, and exhale, push up and back in downward dog. Now, in order to know that your hands and feet are properly placed, let's come forward into a high push-up. Here in your high push-up, your palms are right under your shoulders. From here, push up and back in downward dog. That's your spacing. You're moving to get all the weight back into your legs. Let's come forward into that high push-up one more time. And then move into your downward dog. All of these next several postures can be done on the knees if you have shoulder issues or wrist issues, for example. So come down to your knees and just push back. This would be downward dog on the knees. You can have your toes curled or not. So I'm coming forward a little bit and then I'm pushing back, letting the head be heavy. Downward dog on the knees. So here's your modification for downward dog. Let's come back into tabletop. Bend the arms slightly at the elbows and straighten them out. You always want to keep your elbows tight by your sides. So dropping down through chaturanga is a small maneuver until you have the strength. So let's practice being on our knees and dropping all the way down to the ground. Keeping the elbows tight by the sides is essential. We're going to practice lifting ourselves all the way back up, but keep your knees on the ground. I want you to see what kind of strength it would take to lift yourself back up here, keeping your elbows tight by the sides. So that's the key to chaturanga. Lowering down here and lifting back up. Lowering down and lifting back up. So when you're in a plank position, you might only bend your arms very slightly. Very small maneuver until you build strength. So play with those small maneuvers and then push back into your child's pose. Now we're going to work on our plank and our up dog. So let's come into tabletop. From tabletop, curl your toes and lift up into plank. So remember, the eyes of the elbows are forward, your fingers are open and splayed. Now, the modification for plank is tabletop. So if you want to modify plank because of shoulder issues or your wrists, or you're just tired, come down into tabletop. So that's your modification for plank when we're flowing. Now, bending the arms slightly and swooping up into up dog. Let's practice this on our knees right now so we can really get the feeling of what that feels like. Come back in through your tabletop. Let's start in a kneeling downward dog, just to practice. Inhale, come forward through tabletop. Exhale, bend your arms at the elbows and swoop up into up dog. Up dog is straight arms, squeezed glutes, pressing hips down. Let's come back through tabletop and then into kneeling downward dog. Okay. Now let's try chaturanga and up dog through plank. So come into tabletop, curl toes, and come into plank. Now bend your arms slightly at the elbows and swoop up into your up dog. You can be curled toes or on the tops of your toes. Then inhale back through plank and exhale downward dog. Okay, let's inhale through plank. One more here. Exhale, bend and swoop. Again, you can be curled toes or on the tops of your feet here. Inhale back through plank and exhale into downward dog. Bend your knees if you're not able to get your heels down to the ground here. Head is heavy. Pushing back into your heels here. And let's inhale, come down to your knees, and exhale into child's pose. So next we're going to be working on the form for separate leg postures. We're going to look at our low lunge and our high lunge. So let's inhale, come into tabletop. We're going to take the left foot and bring it all the way up ahead of us. We're going to work to get a 90-degree angle on that left leg so that the left knee is right over the left ankle. Once you have that, you can inhale here. And on the exhale, slowly bring your arms up to the sky. You're pressing into the top of the back foot a little bit to take the pressure off of the back knee. Okay, let's go into high lunge. Let's curl the back toes and pop that back knee off now, working to straighten that back leg. Your left knee is at a 90-degree angle, and now bring your arms up slowly. The weight's out of the front toes. The front leg is at a 90-degree angle. And let's bring the hands back down. Bring the back knee down and bring your front leg back into your tabletop. Let's practice this on the other side. So we're going to bring the right foot all the way up. We're going to make sure that right leg has a 90-degree angle and the right knee is right over the right ankle. Then we'll bring the arms up to the sky from here. Press into the top of the back foot a little bit to take the pressure off the back knee. And bring the hands back down. Let's curl the back toes and straighten the back leg out, popping that back knee off. High lunge variation. Make sure that the front knee is stacked right over the front ankle. Bring your arms up to the sky, working to straighten the back leg out. The weight's out of the front toes. Then bring the hands back down and take the front leg back into your tabletop position. Let's inhale here, and on the exhale, child's pose. Next, we're going to work on the warrior position of your back foot. I want you to visualize longitudinally on your mat, that there's a line drawn all the way down the center of your mat, from the top of it to the bottom of it. Okay, let's come into tabletop on your inhale and curl your toes. Exhale, push up and back in your downward dog. First, we're going to talk about the three-legged dog. Inhale your left leg up to the sky. Now, don't bring the front of your left hip with you, so don't lift your hip up. Drop the left hip down while you lift the left leg up. So don't lift the hip up. Drop the hip down while you lift it up. You're going to inhale here and exhale. Bring the left foot all the way up and through your hands. Use your left hand to help get your foot all the way up there so that your left leg is at a 90-degree angle. Now you're going to bring the back heel over to the left so it's on its side. Remember that line? Your feet aren't crossing over on that line. Your back foot is not crossing over to the left of that line. Now see what it feels like to bring your arms up to the sky. Warrior One is squaring your shoulders and your hips forward. When you come into Warrior Two here with your arms horizontal, it's squaring your shoulders to the right and your hips to the right. Let's inhale back to Warrior One, squaring shoulders and hips forward. And then bring your hands back down. Curl your back toes when you come out of this posture. Inhale here, and on the exhale, send the left leg back and up into that three-legged dog. Remember, don't take the hip with you. And then set down into downward dog and push back. Head dangles. Inhale, come down to your knees, and exhale into child's pose. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side to practice the other side. Remember that longitudinal line and your back foot. Let's inhale, come into tabletop position, curl toes, and exhale, push back into downward dog. Inhale, lift the right leg all the way up. Remember, don't take the front of the right hip with you. Don't lift it up. Drop it down. Don't lift it up. Drop it down. Inhale here, and on the exhale, pull your right foot all the way up. Use your right hand to help you get that big step so your right leg is at a 90-degree angle. Then drop your back heel down into the warrior, and don't let your back foot cross over that line. Bring your hands to your knees to start out with if you like, and then bring your arms up to the sky. Warrior One, squaring the shoulders and the hips forward. Keeping your front leg deeply bent at the knee, go into Warrior Two, horizontal arms. Now you're squaring your shoulders and your hips to the left, looking out over your right middle finger. Let's inhale, come back into Warrior One. And exhale your hands down, curl those back toes. Get ready to come into the three-legged dog. Inhale here, and exhale, bring your right leg all the way back and up into the three-legged dog, not taking the front of your hip with you. Then set down into your downward dog and push back. Inhale, come down to your knees, and exhale into your child's pose. Breathing here. Next, we're going to work on our balancing. So let's inhale, come into our tabletop position, curl toes, and exhale, come into downward dog and push back. We'll slowly walk the feet all the way up through the hands until we're in our forward fold all the way at the top of the mat. Bend your legs slightly at the knees. And inhale, articulate all the way back up to the sky. Press the palms together. And exhale into prayer. Let's turn around and face each other now. The keys to balancing. One is that your toes and heels are together before you start. The second one is your mouth is closed, and the third is that you're focused on your drishti. We're going to come into tree, balancing on the right foot first. Focusing on your drishti, slowly de-weighting the left foot. Bend it at the knee, use your hand to help, and pull the left foot as high up onto your thigh as possible. If it's not going above your knee joint, then keep it below the knee joint so you're not pressing into the knee. Focusing on your drishti with your mouth closed, bringing your hands into prayer, and if that feels good, you can reach your branches up for the sky. You can also practice looking up to the sky here. And move to come out the way that you came in. So if your branches are extended, first come down into prayer, and then slowly bring your left foot down and back in place. Breathing here, shake it out a little bit. And now we'll balance on the left foot, de-weighting the right foot, reaching down and picking up the right foot and pulling it as high up onto your left inner thigh as possible. Your right knee is ultimately going directly out to the right, bringing your hands into prayer. If this feels good, you can grow your branches. And after a couple of breaths, if you're stable there, looking up to the sky. Let's inhale, pull the branches back in, and on the exhale, slowly take the right foot out and slide it back into place. Shake it out a little bit. We're going to move back to the top of the mat and flow our way down. So toes and heels together and hands in prayer. Let's inhale your arms all the way up to the sky. And exhale, forward fold all the way down. Walk your feet or hop them back into your downward dog. Push back in your downward dog. And inhale, come down to your knees. And exhale into child's pose. We're going to work on deep openings next. Always come out of a posture when your body is ready to come out. Don't wait for the cue that it is time to come out if it does not resonate. Listen to yourself first. So from here, let's come into our tabletop and bring your knees open wide and your big toes touching. Your knees are going to be more toward the top of the mat than the bottom so that you can lean back if you want to in this posture. Level 1 is hands in prayer. Level 2 is your arms behind you, straight arms. Level 3 is on your elbows. You can lift your chest up and let your head dangle. And level 4 would be to lay all the way down. You only go into the level of the posture that you are ready to experience. This is a journey, and you are in the perfect place. We always come out of a posture the way that we came in. So if you're lying all the way down, come to your elbows first. Then up to your straight arms. Then bring your upper body up all the way on the inhale, and on the exhale, come into a forward fold child's pose. When you come out of a deep posture, give your body a few breaths to assimilate all of the benefits of what has happened before moving on to the next pose. Let's inhale, come back up into our tabletop position. We're going to come into a seated posture, so you can roll over your crisscrossed ankles, or you can move your knees off to the side and bring them out ahead of you. And then we're going to straddle on the mat. So come into a wide straddle. You want to open your legs as wide as you can sit up tall from the chest. If you're slumped over or rounding forward, that means your legs are open too wide, so decrease the distance. So as long as you're leading from the chest, sitting upright, you can open your legs as wide as possible. Inhale here, and on the exhale, come into a deep forward fold. When you are in a deep posture, breathe into where the resistance lies until you feel at least one layer of releasing. If you are focused in your body, you'll feel the change. That's all the release that you need, is that one layer. So to be present with your breath in your body, in your experience, is very important. And let's inhale slowly, articulate all the way back upright. We're facing each other right now. So take your right leg and swoop it around. So now both of your legs are together on your mat. Sit up nice and tall with your legs together, your toes gently flexed up. Flesh off the sit bones. And bring your arms forward. We're going to practice the upright seated posture here. So you're sitting upright, leading from the chest, not sagging down. So you're pressing through the sit bones and sitting up, not slouching down. So perching up with your shoulders are back. They're not reaching forward and moving out of alignment. They're pulled back and you're leading from the chest. So play with what that feels like to reach them forward and then pull them back, sitting up tall, leading from the chest. Let's bring the arms up on the inhale and on the exhale, forward fold. Draw the forehead toward the knees. Let's inhale, articulate all the way back up. We're going to work on abdominal engagement now. Your arms are forward without moving your shoulders with you. On the exhale, slowly lay all the way down. Make sure you're nice and centered on your mat. And bring your arms up to the sky and back behind you. Now reach your arms and hands away from you, and your legs and toes away from you. Let your spine come off of the mat, and now pull the spine deeply into the mat. It feels like your rib cage is getting drawn down toward your navel. That's the kind of abdominal engagement you need to sit up. So inhale, pull the back deeply into the mat, and on the exhale, sit all the way up, reach for the sky, and exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, articulate back to the upright seated posture, arms forward, inhale here, and on the exhale, slowly, one vertebrae at a time, come all the way down. Hold an apple between your chin and your chest. We're going to work on complete body alignment here. So with the toes flexed up to the sky, lift one heel off of the ground just barely, and then the other. So now both of your heels are lifted off of the ground. Your toes are flexed up to the sky. Your head is on the mat. You're holding an apple between your chin and your chest. You're struggling here to hold on to this posture. Your mouth is closed and you're making great effort to control your breath and control your abdominals. Your shoulder blades are square on the mat. You're pulling your shoulders away from your ears. You're deeply controlling the pace of your breath to control your abdominals here. Breathing here. This is pulling your body into an alignment using core strength. Let's relax everything and bring one knee at a time up. Wrap your arms around your knees and pull your knees into your chest. Let's counterbalance what we just did. We're going to use this bind to pull your body into alignment. So you're working to grab opposite elbows here in this bind, pulling the knees into the chest. Your head is on the mat. If not, you have something to support you. To have your head down. Hold an apple between your chin and your chest. Pull your knees in. Move to draw your shoulder blades into the mat and pull your shoulders away from your ears. Now, holding on to all of that, roll your tailbone down to the ground. All of this is an effort. It's a journey, but you're moving to pull yourself into alignment there. Let's release everything. Bring the feet to the ground. A little bit more abdominal work. Let's bring the legs straight up to the sky. Flex the toes to the face. We're going to work on keeping the legs straight with the toes flexed and using our breath, holding on. Our apple is between our chin and our chest. And we're going to work on slowly lowering the legs all the way down to the ground. You're going to have to use your breath. You're going to have to control your abdominals. If you find that you're losing control of the abdominals, just bend your knees and set your feet down. Don't overdo it. If you're overarching the spine and losing control, that's too far. But if you want to play with this and it feels solid to you, then we're going to slowly lower the legs till they're all the way down on the ground. Again, only if there is complete control. And once you've touched all the way down, then gently pull your knees back in and wrap your arms around, pulling your knees into your chest with a counterbalancing stretch. We're going to do that one more time, and remember the rules, so don't hurt yourself. If you're losing control of your abdominals, that's going too far. Bring your legs back up to the sky, squeezed straight, toes flexed to the face. Slowly beginning to lower the legs down. Very slowly, using the breath to control your pace. Your head is on the mat, or you have support under your head to keep your head down. You're holding an apple between your chin and your chest. Your shoulders are square on the mat. Breathing through your nose. Very controlled, very slow, very steady. Focusing all of your attention on what you are doing. Until your feet are all the way down, then bend your knees again and wrap your arms around your knees, pulling your knees into your chest. And releasing your feet back down. We're going to work on bridging next. I want you to feel what it feels like. A pelvic tilt from this position is just to peel your sacrum off of the ground. So pelvic tilt, and then slowly lift one vertebrae at a time from there till you're all the way up. And when you're all the way up, pull your rib cage towards your belly button. Take an inhale here, and on the exhale from your neck down, roll down one vertebrae at a time until your tail touches at the very end. Let's do that a couple more times. Take an inhale, and on the exhale, tilt your pelvis up, and then lift one vertebrae at a time all the way up. Pull the rib cage toward the navel. Inhale here, and on the exhale, roll one vertebrae at a time all the way down, saving your tailbone for the very last. One more time like that. Take a big inhale, and on the exhale, tilt the tailbone off, and then peel one vertebrae at a time all the way up. Until you're all the way up, pull the rib cage down toward your belly button. Inhale here, and on the exhale, roll down one vertebrae at a time until the tailbone touches last. And then bring your knees into your chest and wrap your arms around your knees. Bring your feet down to your mat. And then straighten your legs all the way out. Bring your arms up and over. We're going to be sitting up again. So inhale, pull your back deeply into the mat. Use momentum here if you need to. And on your exhale, sit all the way up. Reach for the sky and forward fold over your legs. And inhale, articulate your spine all the way back up to the upright seating posture. We're going to be coming back into our tabletop, so crisscross your legs if you're going to be rolling over your feet, and come into tabletop. Nice solid tabletop, and all we're going to do is bend the arms slightly at the elbows and ooze all the way down to the mat. We're going to be coming into seal, a deep spinal extension. So bring your palms to the corners of your mat and your feet to the corners of your mat. Press the top of your feet into the mat and pop your knees away. Straighten your arms out and lift through the chest. Don't sag in the shoulders here. Push out of the shoulders. Feel the difference. So don't sag into the shoulders in this posture. Push up and out, and then let yourself come all the way down and look to the left. And let's push through the arms to bring the upper body up into tabletop. We're going to be working on our side planking here. This is all about shoulder stability. So inhale, curl toes, and exhale, come into plank. Bring your feet hip distance apart so that you can roll off to the sides of them. Bring your right hand right into the center on the inhale, and on the exhale, lift your left arm up to the sky. We're facing away from each other here. Push up and out of that right shoulder girdle is the key, pelvic tilt. And then bring your hand down. Bring your left hand right into the center on the inhale, and on the exhale, lift your right arm up to the sky. Push up and out of the left shoulder girdle, pelvic tilt. And then bring your hand down. Inhale here, and on the exhale, downward dog. Inhale here, and on the exhale, come down to your knees, and child's pose. We're going to be working on balancing postures next. We're going to be coming into half moon. Remember, this is a journey and everyone is in a different place. So let's come to the tabletop position and curl back into downward dog. From here, we're just going to walk the feet forward a little bit. Your toes and heels are together, and find your blocks. Where you are in this posture will depend if you use a block and what angle it's in. We're going to put the block right under our left shoulder. And from here, we're going to be lifting the right leg up. Lift the right leg so that it's parallel to the ground. And then you're going to slowly articulate your right arm up to the sky. Slow and steady, make sure you feel balanced here. This posture is a journey. You ultimately will want to stack the right hip on top of the left hip. Slowly come down. Just play with it here. Now change the block so that it's right under your right arm. The left leg comes up to the sky. We're facing away from each other for this posture. Slowly bring your left arm up to the sky as you slowly lift your left hip to stack on top of the right one. And then slowly come down. For this next piece, I want us to be facing each other. It'll be easier that way. So bring your left foot forward and your right foot back into the warrior. Have your blocks. You're going to have your left palm right under your left shoulder and reach your right arm up for the sky. We're playing with the different heights of the block here. You're finding what works for you to push into, to push up and out of the left shoulder girdle, to reach up for the sky. As long as your front leg is squeezed straight and not hyperlocked, So play with this and feel what that feels like to push up and out of the left shoulder girdle. And then grab your block. We're going to switch over to the other side now. So your right toes are pointing forward and your back toes are at the warrior foot. Bringing your right hand right under your right shoulder. Let's lift the left arm up for the sky. So play with the different levels of the blocks. The key is to be pushing up and out of that right shoulder girdle. Lifting, squeezing the front leg, squeezing the knee. And then we'll lift one more time here. Just feel what that feels like to have that strength and control. And then move your leg back through three-legged dog and into downward dog. And we'll inhale, come down to the knees. We're going to come into another deep opening, but I want to exemplify how to use a block. So with your knees touching, open your feet just wide enough that you can sit in between them and put your block there so that you can sit with your sit bones right on the block. So play with the height of this. You can change the height, but keep your knees together. I want you just to feel what that feels like. Play with different heights so that you can come into this posture with comfort. You can also play with what it feels like to bring your arms back behind you. You may not need a block here at all, so you can just play with where you're at in this posture, but this is an example of how you would support yourself in a deep opening. And then come all the way back up and come forward. Crisscross your ankles if that's how you're going to come open over your feet. And then another way to use a block when you're in a crisscross position, an upright seated posture, you can use the block to sit on. And this allows you, especially if you struggle to sit upright leading from the chest in an upright seated posture, this alleviates that struggle a little bit. So this is just another tool for you to have in your practice if it's useful for you. And you can slowly take the block out. We're going to come into another useful way to use the blocks. So let's unwrap and lay all the way down. Have a block next to you. You're going to lay down with your legs bent and your feet on the mat. Say you have lower back problems or stiffness, or you just want to go into a little bit of a back bend. This is also a meditative place. You can put the block at the lowest level under your tailbone. See what that feels like. You can also move the block up to the next height. Put it in a comfortable place right there at the widest part of your sacrum, but you'll find the happy spot there that works for you to be comfortable. And if you feel that this is really good and you might want a little bit more, you can bring the block up to its highest position. And this will bring you into a deeper back bend. So you can just find what works for you and play with this. Use it as a deep lower back relief, just as a back bend in general. There's a lot of opening that happens here. Just stay with the height that really resonates with you and maybe work up to higher heights over time. It's a great way to relieve stress. And slowly take the block out. Set your spine down and pull your knees into your chest to counterbalance what we just did. We're going to be working on plow. It's deep spinal flexion and abdominal control for our last piece before our final resting. If you have any neck injuries, let's not do this part, okay? So to come into plow, you can use momentum to come up and over, and the key would be to not plop down. So you want to be using abdominal strength to roll down with control. When you come all the way up and over, to hold yourself up there, use your hands at your lower back and prop yourself up on your elbows. The key to rolling down with control is to keep your leg weight way back there and rolling down very slowly using your abdominals and your breathing. So you roll down with control, and then your legs are up to the sky, and then you can set them down. So again, if you have any neck issues, let's not do this piece. But let's practice this a couple more times if your neck is good to go. This is a really deep stretch. It's an amazing stretch if you don't have any problems in your neck. So let's use a little momentum to come up and over. Use the hands at the lower back and the elbows if you need to. Whatever you need to keep yourself stable and solid while you explore this posture. Now to roll down with control, press into your arms too. Keep the leg weight way back there and roll down. And then bend your legs at the knees and put your feet flat on the mat. So the two pieces, we're going to do that again. So when you're ready, we're going to straighten the legs and roll up and over into plow. The two pieces here are to keep the leg weight way back there and push your arms into the mat. Those are, use your breath and your abdominal control. Those are all pieces that will help you to come down with control, and it takes practice. So playing with this, if it all feels good, is great. Slowly rolling down. And then bending your legs at the knees and putting your feet flat on the mat. Let's take a few breaths here. And then we're going to come into our final meditation. So open your legs as wide as the mat. Open your arms out to the sides, palms up. Hold your apple between your chin and chest. And then relax everything. Closing your eyes, let yourself fall away into this deep meditation. Slowly begin to deepen your breath. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Open your eyes to the space. And we'll slowly lift ourselves up to a fetal position. And then very gently lift ourselves to an upright seated posture. Stay in your meditative zone. Get nice and comfortable with your hands in prayer. breathing here. Take a big inhale and hold it all the way at the top. And exhale, forward fold. Namaste. It's a true honor to be working with you. I hope that the fundamentals of yoga has been interesting and educational for you. I hope you have a most wonderful and amazing day.